Welcome everybody to our very exciting webinar today. We are bringing you a very well-discussed topic, but very interesting. Today's webinar will be on a very serious topic, which is women abuse. It concerns all of us, women, men. It is in our families, it is in our communities. So the issue of women violence and abuse is a very common issue, but especially in the previous month, which was the month of elimination of violence against women, which we should actually fight for every day and all year long. So we are very happy that you joined us today for this webinar. So today we'll have a very special guest, Ibtissam Aboulouafa, who wrote some books related to women violence and have been counseling for a lot of time. So can you tell us more about your experience, Ibtissam?
Hello, first, thank you for the invitation. Well, I started working as a psychologist and counselor about a few years now, and I have seen serious issues concerning violence against women, and the problem is that they are unfortunately not well addressed.
We're very glad that you're with us today. We also have a special guest, which is a well-known, actually, United representative, Hajar Mohammed Wahbi. So you usually address the issues of women abuse, and you describe yourself as a woman specialist. Can you tell us more about yourself and your experience?
Hello, Asma. Thank you first for having me today to discuss this interesting topic. Well, I am the special UN rapporteur on violence against women. I'm not really a woman specialist. I'm just here. My work is to help them by all means. My first task is to seek and receive information on violence against women, its causes and consequences from governments, treaty bodies, specialized agencies, other special rapporteurs responsible for various human rights questions, and intergovernmental NGOs, including women's organizations, and to respond effectively to such information. The other task I'm required to do is recommend measures, ways, and means at the local, national, regional, and international levels, of course, to eliminate all form of violence against women, its causes, and try to correct or prevent its consequences. I'm also required to work closely with all special procedures and other human rights mechanisms of the Human Rights Council, and with the treaty bodies, taking into account the request of the Council that they constantly integrate the human rights of women and the gender perspective into their work, and cooperate closely with the Commission on the status of women in the discharge of its functions. I'm also required to continue adopting a comprehensive and universal approach to the elimination of violence against women, its causes and consequences, including causes of violence against women related to the civil, cultural, economic, political, and social spheres.
Well, thank you very much for being here with us today. We also have our third guest, which is Yasmine Hamamsi, who is actually a Moroccan feminist. And she'll enrich our knowledge in terms of empowerment of Moroccan women, and she'll tell us more about her own experience.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me. So yes, as Mrs. Boutata said before, I'm a Moroccan feminist activist, and I'm very happy to be here with you tonight.
Thank you. We're also very pleased to have you among us. Finally, last but not least, we have our very interesting guest, Fatima Drar, who is a researcher in Islamic studies at the University of London, and she's also a lecturer in the same university. So,
hello everyone, I'm very glad to be with you in this webinar. I will clarify some misunderstandings about violence against women in Islamic religion.
Thank you, Fatima. And Well, today I will be your moderator for this webinar, and I'm very glad to have all of you with us. I think it is great that we have all these specialists with us to talk about women, abuse, and violence. It is a topic that we never end up talking about, and we should not, since it exists. And our aim today is to understand the problem of the recent Moroccan media, not helping women to fight against violence. So we want to understand today how to deal with these kind of issues. So to participate in our webinar, we have different ways and means. So you can, through social media, you can use the hashtag #EndWomenViolence and hashtag React on YouTube and Twitter to interact with us and ask all of your questions. You might also have joined us today because you are concerned with violence. You also might know someone who suffers from violence. So we're addressing here a very serious issue from a psychological perspective. So we'll first start with our psychologist, Ibtissam. What are, in this situation, why do women remain silent, and why do they keep the silence going?
Well, Asma, from the cases of victims that I have contact with in the nature of my work, I think that the society plays a huge role in this issue. First, because of our patriarchal society. It is true that this is changing year after year, but there are still many couples within healthy relationships where the husband has complete control over household finances. A lot of women still opt to get hit by their husband because they have nowhere to go and would lack financial support with their children, plus the negative image of the divorced women in our society. And concerning silence, it is normal as a part of the cycle of abuse. And for people who are wondering about the cycle of abuse, it starts with the initial abusive incident. It can be sexual, physical, or emotional. Then the tension builds, where the abusee trying to keep the peace until finally another incident happens. And make up, the abuser apologizes, often promising never to do it again, or say that this victim asked for it, or that she's making a big deal out of nothing. And at the end, the calm or the silence, where both parties act as if nothing is wrong and do their best to ignore the mounting problem. So this cycle can repeat itself endlessly with the victim until that the victim break her silence. And this is what we aim to do through our webinar today.
Yes, so I assume that there is a huge impact, a psychological impact made on these women, right?
Yes, of course. So concerning the psychological consequences of domestic violence on women, even after the victim has left the abusive partner, experiences abuse or an attack can lead to serious mental health problems. And as physical injuries demand our care and attention, it is imperative that the psychological and emotional wounds suffered from these traumatic events also gets addressed. So most of the cases are victims that are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, being abused by someone who should be trustworthy and nurturing. These many women to feel abandoned, betrayed, and even crazy. So depression is by far the most common symptom of domestic violence.
Well, since these women do not live alone, can you enlighten us with the impact it may have on their environment and especially on their children?
The effect of domestic violence on children is so problematic. Witnessing domestic violence by children have a huge impact on shaping their personality. Witnessing can mean seeing actual incidents or physical or sexual abuse. It can mean hearing threats or fighting noises from another room. So children might also observe the consequences of the physical abuse, such as blood, bruises, tears, torn clothing, and broken items. And children who are exposed to the domestic violence become fearful and anxious. They are always on guard, watching and waiting for the next event to occur. And concerning the long effect on children, seeing their mothers treated with enormous disrespect teaches children that they can disrespect women the way their fathers do. Actually, most experts believe that children who are raised in an abusive home learn that violence is an effective way to resolve conflicts and problems. They may replicate the violence they witness as children in their relationships and parenting experiences. For boys who witnesses their mother's abuse are more likely to batter their female partners as adults than boys raised in non-violent homes. And for girls, adolescence might result in the belief that threats and violence are the norm in their relationships. So children from violent homes have higher risk of alcohol, drugs, abuse, post-traumatic stress disorder, juvenile delinquency, and it's also the #1 reason of children run away.
Well, thank you. This is actually very dangerous and a very sad thing that happens. Though Moroccan is part of the United Nations organization, so Hajar, can you please clarify for us, are there any international laws that can be done to prevent these women from living such situations?
Well, before answering your question, Esma, I would like to present a few facts about domestic violence. Violence against women and girls is one of the most widespread. It's the most widespread violation of human rights. In some countries, up to 7 in 10 women will be beaten, raped, abused, or mutilated in their lifetime. So, of course, the international community will not remain silent. So, as a result, the General Assembly of the UN developed 3 articles that impose on state members to apply by the end of year 2020. The first article, well, it gives a general definition of what the violence against women is. So the term violence against women means any act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or psychological harm or suffering to women, including threat of such acts, coercion, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or private life. The second article states that violence against women should be understood to encompass, but not limited to the following: physical, sexual, and psychological violence occurring in the family, including battering, sexual abuse of female children in the household, dowry-related violence, marital rape, female genital mutilation, and other traditional practices harmful to women, non-spousal violence, and violence related to exploitation. Also, physical, sexual, and psychological violence occurring within the general community, including rape, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, intimidation at work, in educational institutions and elsewhere, trafficking in women, and forced prostitution. Physical and sexual, psychological violence perpetrated or condoned by the state wherever it occurs. The third article says that women are entitled to the equal enjoyment and protection of all human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, and civil or any other field. These rights include the right to life, the right to equality, the right to liberty and security of person, the right to equal protection under the law, the right to be free from all form of discrimination, the right to the highest standard attainable of physical and mental health, the right to just and favorable conditions of work, the right not to be subject to torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatments or punishment. The fourth article states that states should condemn violence against women and should not invoke any custom, tradition, or religious consideration to avoid their obligations with respect to its elimination. So basically, this is what the UN did for combating violence against women.
But still, concerning the actions that can be done, did the UN take any concrete measures or propose articles regarding this implement?
Well, the UN intervened in Morocco, and Morocco commits to raise awareness and enhance women's economic empowerment to access basic services. It's also committed to raising public awareness in order to eradicate violence against women and girls who are the victim of violence. It's also working to facilitate access to justice and to provide appropriate support. However, no law has been taken or implemented yet in Morocco. So um, the government is
So
launching a
even
comprehensive multi-sector initiative to make 2017 the year of social mobilization. So I hope this is it will be a good start to think about further laws to implement and tackle the issue of violence against women.
well, the question is especially raised, especially that since the last Arab Spring, a lot of improvement has been made, and we would like to have your input, Yasmine, with your external point of view of independent feminist activism. Can you clarify for us concerning the laws and your own perspective?
So, as it has been stipulated before, even if Morocco is part of the UN, it does not respect the rules concerning the protection of women against violence. Until today, there is no law defending women when it comes to marital violence, apart from one law in the penal code that says anyone who deliberately stricken his spouse, his father, mother, or other ascendant is punishable by law. The penalty is proportional to the severity of the violence. Despite this legal text, assault women tend not to lodge a complaint against their torturers. The weight of society and cumbersome administrative procedures oblige the woman to respect one rule: remain silent, and keep being patient. As at the police station, their case is treated lightly in court. It takes 12 witnesses to prove violent intimidation. The family constitution still considers woman marital violence as something normal between husband and wife. A woman has to be patient and remain silent. Many laws have been proposed to protect this woman since 2013, but any of them has been adopted. In 2013, Basim Al-Haqawi, the Minister of Solidarity, Women, Family and Social Development, appointed the King Mohammed VI, informed the Moroccan community that a draft law on contending violence against women, prepared in collaboration with the Ministry of Justice, will be submitted to the General Secretariat of the government. But actually, the General Secretariat of the government did not adopt the law until now. Among the other measures taken, the minister cited the launch of an initiative to involve men and young people in efforts to fight violence against women, considering the fact that Morocco has taken an important step in this field. She also added that in order to remedy this situation, the Ministry of Solidarity, Women, Family and Social Development is working with the Ministry of Communication to improve the image of women in the media. In this regard, the minister announced the creation by the end of 2013 of a national observatory for the improvement of the image of women in the media. But how about the latest episode of the program Sabahiyat Dozam of Wednesday, November 23, 2016, that shows to the battered woman how to camouflage their face swelled by the blows of their husband? Is this a way to improve the image of women in the media and a way to stop violence, or it is a way to push this woman to remain silent? The answer is clear and all of us know it. Women, do not forget that getting a divorce is also a solution, especially that now, since the adoption by the Parliament of the new family code in 2004, the family is placed under the joint responsibility of the two spouses and is no longer under the exclusivity of the father. The wife can ask for the divorce and custody of the children.
Well, thank you, Yasmine, for your intervention. And you mentioned a point that will come through later on. We have not addressed our last guest today, Fatima. So Morocco is a Muslim country, but it seems that there is a misunderstanding between the interpretation of religion and also the practice of it. So how does Islam view violence against women?
Islam condemns any form of violence against women. In fact, it requires that husbands treat their wives with respect and prohibits any form of physical or emotional abuse. The Quran requires that spouses treat each other with love and mercy. Moreover, it repeatedly warns against the use of injurious statements by a husband against his wife. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was known for treating women in a good manner and not being violent towards them. In fact, his wife Aisha, may God be pleased with her, said he never hits a woman, not a servant. Unlike what many people think, Islam gives a huge importance to women, as they are the main parts of the society. Both Quran and Sunnah show different verses or sayings on how to treat women. The first saying, treat women kindly, for women were created from a bent rib. Unfortunately, some men understood this hadith and insult women using it. In fact, this hadith means that God created differences between men and women in character and capacities. These differences may appear as flaws for men, while this is not the case. This distortion is adequate for one of the missions she was created for, which is protecting her children, as the rib protects the heart from any harm. This is actually a praise for women, as she was created with the perfect form that would allow her to do her duties. The second saying, the most complete of the believers in their faith are those who have the best manners, and the best of you are those who are the best to their women. The Prophet also taught that a husband's treatment of his wife reflects a Muslim's good character, which in turn is a reflection of his faith. The character of the Prophet, peace be upon him, exemplified how one should be good to his wife. He should smile, not hurt her emotionally or physically, remove anything that will harm her, treat her gently, and be patient with her. He should communicate effectively with her, involve her in decision-making, and support her in times of difficulty. God instructs men to be nice to their wives and to treat them well to the best of their ability. Women were also known with their active participation in Islam. Under the laws of Islam, women have obtained the right to sell and buy properties, own businesses, and take legal actions. They also have the privilege to earn money, the right to own property, to enter into legal businesses, and to manage all their assets the way they want. They can run their own businesses, and no one has any claim on their earnings, including their husbands.
Okay, but we're here today. We want to know actually, does Islam prohibit these kind of behaviors? Are these behaviors justified or even just accepted?
Islam doesn't accept these behaviors, nor it justifies them. Actually, we see that many men feel they are superior towards their wives or sisters or mothers. This is again a wrong assumption. In fact, in our religion, men and women are recognized as equal partners. Both of them are equally held accountable, and they have the same spirit, so there is no superiority between them in the spiritual sense. Men and women also have an equal status and value in front of God, and piety is the only criterion that differentiates between them. Both have the same acts of worship, the same Islamic etiquette and manners, the same spiritual duties and requirements, except in some cases when women have certain concessions because of their nature. Women also have different rights in Islam. As mentioned before, they are equally held accountable, and they are also equally rewarded, meaning men and women, and they also have the equal right to gain knowledge.
Okay, thank you for your input and your clarifications. So in order to finish our webinar, because unfortunately I think we came to the last few minutes, we will do a little tour of a table or of a web to know what is your message of all of our invitees and guests. So what would you like to address to all these ladies who suffer from violence or know someone who does? We'll start with Hajar first.
Before answering your question, Asma, I would like to say that I am lamented that efforts to address such violence suffer from lack of resources, including funding. So I hope that states and the international community will do something about this and will collect funds in order to fight this phenomenon of violence against women. To answer your question, what I advise girls and women is not to remain silent and seek help and never forgive an aggressor, because once you forgive him or her, I don't know who's aggressing, he or she is more likely to redo the same thing. So seek help, please.
Personally, for the victim, I asked her to break her silence, and for the abuser to seek a therapist's help. And for media, I want to tell them that sometimes you make the domestic violence look normal. You normalize this issue. What makes it a social construction? And I want to remind them that they have a social responsibility toward their audience to raise consciousness, not doing the opposite. Thank you.
A little word from Yasmine, maybe?
As a representative of the feminist movement in Morocco, I want to address my talk to all women in Morocco keeping silent or being patient because they think that they cannot do anything. Actually, I encourage you women to react even if the authority cannot really help you. Do not forget that there are many NGOs that are seeking to help you going through the hell you are living with your partner. You woman has to stand up against this kind of violence. You have to evaluate the risk you are putting yourself in. You cannot accept any kind of violence from your partner to you. So please, women, react. Help yourself and all women living the same hell than you and violence against women. Thank you.
My conclusion for women, from an Islamic point of view, you should know your rights and know the true value that our religion gives to you. Make sure that you have no misunderstandings regarding that. Violence and the family violence is not accepted in Islam in any form.
Okay, so we apologize for some technical problems. We came to the end of our webinar of today, and we're very thankful for all of our guests. I personally thank you for your involvement and your passion and all the help that you provide to women, families, and the society, the Moroccan society especially. And I would like also to thank our viewers, and maybe we were of a little help to clarify the notions we mentioned today of women violence, and we hope to see you maybe sometime again later. Goodbye.